Hey folks, I hope that you guys are doing pretty well. So today is Wednesday, the 25th of March 2026, and in today's video I'm going to decipher for you Psalm 95 verses 1 to 11. Okay, now Psalm 95 is predominantly for the millennial kingdom. Okay, it's basically a psalm to praise God daily in the millennial kingdom. Now verse 1 reads, "Oh come, let us sing unto the Lord, let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation." Okay, in other words, Jesus. Yeah, because when Jesus comes back for the millennial kingdom, he's going to save Israel, and so he's going to be the rock of their salvation. Okay, so commentary. So this verse and Psalm, in context, is about praising Jesus, the rock, who has saved Israel from the enemies at Jesus' second coming. Okay, you can link this verse with Psalm 96 verse 2, which reads, "Sing unto the Lord, bless his name, show forth his salvation." Okay, from day to day. Also you can link it to Psalm 98 verses 1 and 2, and in verse 2 reads, "The Lord hath made known his salvation." Okay, so he has saved Israel. His righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. Okay, so the unbelievers, etc., etc. But you can also link this verse to Zephaniah chapter 3 verses 14 and 15, and on verse 15 it reads, "Sing, O daughter of Zion." And then on verse 15, "The Lord has taken away thy judgment, he has cast out thy enemy." Okay, the King of Israel, even the Lord, is in the midst of thee. Okay, thou shalt not see evil anymore. So these are promises for Jesus' second coming, when he saves Israel and defeats all the enemies of Israel. Okay, now verse 2, "Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with psalms." Okay, so it's kind of like a commandment, if you like, that people should go, and thank God, and sing to him, if you like, with psalms. Okay, so commentary. So this is a millennial kingdom prophecy when the Jewish people and people of other nations, inclusive, if you like, will come to the presence of God in the new fourth temple and praise God with psalms. Okay, so this verse can be linked to Psalm 105 verse 2. Okay, again we see the word "sing unto him with psalms, unto him talk you of all his wondrous works." Okay, so people will be praising God when he saves Israel in the millennial kingdom. Okay, so verse 3, "For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods." Okay, so see Isaiah 43:12 and Psalm 97 verse 7, which clarify this, if you like. But anyway, commentary. This millennial kingdom prophecy illustrates, if you like, how when Jesus returned for his second coming, he's going to be a victorious God and King above all other idol gods, because many of the heathen have their own idol gods. Okay, who will be defeated at the beginning of the second half, at the beginning of his second coming, rather. Okay, so the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the devil, if you like, plus any other demonic entities, will be expelled from the presence of Jesus at his second coming. Okay, we know this because the Antichrist and the false prophet will be cast alive into the like burning with fire and brimstone, and the devil is going to the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. Okay, so Psalm 9 verse 17 says, "The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God." That's exactly what's going to happen when Jesus comes back for the millennial kingdom. So there's not going to be any more evil entities. They're going to be going straight to hell. This verse 3 can be linked to Psalm 82 verse 1, and it reads, "God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judges among the gods." Okay, so these gods with a small g, if you like, They have no power. They're just idols, really. Okay, they are vanity, if you like. It's also well linked to Psalm 96, verse 4. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. Okay. See also Isaiah 44:9. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity. Okay, so they're all false gods. They're just vanity, and the detectable things shall not profit. Okay, and they that fear their own witnesses, they see not nor know that they might be ashamed. So yes, God is saying here that it's a shame for people to believe in idols, in false gods. Okay, and that it's not going to profit them in any way, shape, or form. You can also link this verse 3 to Deuteronomy 10:17. For the Lord your God is God of gods, okay, and Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty, and a terrible, or if you like, an awesome, which regardeth not persons or taketh reward. So, yes, God is above all gods with a little g, if you like, and God is awesome, if you like, okay. Verse 4, in his hands are the deep places of the earth, the strength of the hills is his also. So commentary. So this is a general prophecy, if you like, that tells us about the awesome power of God and how he's sovereign over all creation, okay? From the deep places of the earth, if you like, where the bosom of hell is located, the spiritual place. And God is sovereign as to who goes there, So these are the deep places, if you like, to the strength of the hills, where according to Psalm 104, verse 32, he looketh on the earth and it trembleth. He touches the hills, okay, and they smoke, if you like. Think about when Moses went to see the Lord on Mount Sinai, okay. See Exodus 19:24, and the Lord said unto him, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee, but let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. Okay, so yes, God is in control of everything. He's sovereign over everything, of the deep places and also of the hills, of everything. God is sovereign over all his creation, and all his creation belongs to him. So the whole earth and everything that lives on earth. Okay, so yes, he also Psalm 97 verse 5. Okay, verse 5, the sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Commentary. So God is not only sovereign over all creation, but he also owns all creation. Okay, now generally speaking, see Genesis chapter 1, which is all about how God created the heaven and the earth, all creatures and men as well. Okay, in Exodus 19 verse 5 we read, God says, for all the earth is mine. Okay, yes, for all the earth is mine. And then on Psalm 24 verses 1 and 2, on verse 1 it reads, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Okay, so everything belongs to God, all creation belongs to God. And then on verse 2 of Psalm 24 it reads, for he hath founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. Okay, so now we're reading to verse 6. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down, let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. So this is the commandment, if you like, for the Jewish people to go to the fourth temple and worship and bow down to God, kneel before the Lord our Maker. Okay, so commentary then. So of course this is a millennial kingdom prophecy, which is an invitation, if you like, to the Jewish people to come and worship God in his holy temple. But it's also a commandment as well, if you like. Now this verse can be linked to a wide cluster of prophecies. Think of Psalm 96 verses 8 and 9, and on verse 9 it reads, "Oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, fear before him all the earth." See also Psalm 99 verse 5, "Exalt you the Lord our God, and worship at his footstool, for he is holy." Okay, so these are some prophecies for the Jewish people to worship God. Psalm 95 is of course for the Jewish people. Of course, the saints will also worship God, and other nations as well that will come into the fourth temple. But in context, Psalm 95 is really for the Jewish people to give praise to the rock of their salvation. Okay. Now, of course, in Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3, it's a classic, and many people shall go and say, "Come, you, and let us go to the mountain of the Lord," the fourth temple, if you like, "to the house of the Lord of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." Okay. Now, verse 7, "For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture." Now, these people here are, of course, the Jewish people, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you will hear his voice. Okay, so commentary. This verse follows context from verse 6, if you like, or the commandment of verse 6, to worship God. Okay. For this, verse 7 says that God is the God of Israel, and the Jewish people are his chosen covenant people. So do it today and don't delay. Okay, so yeah, basically it's kind of like a commandment, if you like, following from verse 6, if you like. He's a God, with the Jewish people are the sheep of his hand. In other words, his covenant people. Okay, so this verse is well linked to Psalm 100 verse 3, which is a classic, I think. "Know you that the Lord, he is God. It is he that he has made us." Okay, and not we ourselves. We are his people. Okay, and the sheep of his pasture. Again, see the word sheep here. So the Jewish people are the sheep of God, if you like. Now, this verse is also linked to Isaiah 41:8. "But thou, Israel, are my servant." Okay, in other words, the sheep, okay, of God, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. It is also linked to Isaiah 43:1. Okay, "But now, thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine." Okay, so again, this prophecy is saying that, that God has saved Israel in the millennial kingdom, and that, the Jewish people are his sheep. Okay. Verse 8, "Harden not your heart." I think Moses is trying to remind the Jewish people here from verses 8 to 11, if you like, not to behave like they did, when they tested God in the wilderness. So on verse 8 it reads, "Harden not your heart as in the provocation, as in the days of temptation in the wilderness." Okay, commentary. So Moses is reminding the Jewish people to have faith in God, in Jesus, and not to provoke him to anger when the Jewish people quarreled and tested the patience of God in Massah and Meribah, according to Exodus 17 verse 7. Okay, in Horeb, if you like, when Moses struck the rock and water began to gush out. Now verse 9, "When your fathers tempted me, probed me, and saw my work." So so this is a story about Exodus chapter 17, if you like, when the Jewish people got thirsty and asked Moses to provide water for them, and tempted the Lord by saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" See Exodus 17 verse 7. Okay, so in a way Moses has to really rise this up, from verses 8 to 11, because to remind the Jewish people not to test Jesus once again when he comes back for the millennial kingdom, because Moses had to say these verses because it was his time. It was the time of Moses. He spent 40 years prophesying from when he was chosen. Okay, verse 10, 40 years long I was grieved with this generation. and said, "It is a people that do err in heart, and they have not known my ways." Okay, so the Jewish people were lacking in faith, especially after Jesus performed so many miracles. Commentary. Jesus was angry with the Jewish people because of their lack of faith. And I think when Moses rose up his hands or stretched out his hands to, open up the waters, so the Jewish people saw so many miracles, but yet they lacked faith, And so according to Numbers 14, verses 32 to 35, on verse 34 it reads, "After the number of days in which you search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year shall you bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise." Yes, because of course, if you read, Numbers 13, chapter 13, Jesus ordered Moses, to pick 12 leaders, all the tribes of Israel, to go and survey the land, and they were very scared, when they saw the giants of Anak, and Jesus wanted them to go in and conquer the land, but they didn't. So they breached that promise, So yeah, it's a bit of a sad story there. But anyway, last verse, and if you like, verse 11, "Unto whom I swore in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest." Yes, so they sadly die there after 40 years. So commentary, Numbers 14:35 says, "In the wilderness they shall be consumed, and they shall die." So sadly, that generation, they come out of Egypt, they disobey God, they die there, in the wilderness, and only the young children got to, when they grew up, got to enter the promised land, alongside, of course, Joshua and Caleb. Okay. All right, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.